We go now to Mene Ukueberuwa, a member of the Wall Street Journal's editorial board. Mene, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I want to start off with the op-ed that the Journal published last evening. The title was, "The Republicans Cut Off Their Own Heads." Talk to us more about that and how you see this all playing out for the GOP.
Absolutely. So I want to back up for viewers tonight and really describe how we got to this moment. The proximate cause of Kevin McCarthy being deposed as Speaker of the House was his deal with the Democrats in the House to pass a short-term funding bill to keep the government open. He had been trying to work with his own conference to pass a funding bill that would have kept government agencies funded. But as they approached the deadline on Saturday night, it was clear that they weren't going to support anything. And so he had to work with Democratic House members to make sure something could get passed and that the government would stay open. And that was a line too far for Representative Matt Gaetz, who is the one who issued the motion to vacate the chair. Matt Gaetz being one of the very conservative members of the House conference. And he said Kevin McCarthy had violated the trust of his members by working with Democrats, but also that he hadn't kept his prior promises to members of his party, leaving him no choice but to depose him. But the interesting thing is that Matt Gaetz didn't really have a specific policy complaint with the approach that Kevin McCarthy was taking. He didn't really offer any way that the Speaker could possibly have avoided having to pass this stopgap measure with the House Democrats. And so it's very clear that what you have here is certain members of the Republican House Conference simply having personal gripes against Kevin McCarthy and wanting to make a show by deposing him without any plan for how they're going to move forward.
Mene, what's at stake here? I mean, and how do you see this all playing out?
Sure. Well, I mean, as of now, as you mentioned in the introduction, Patrick McHenry, a junior member of the House Republican Conference, is Speaker temporarily. Basically, he's just overseeing the process of selecting a permanent speaker. But until they have a new one, they can't really pass legislation. They can't conduct their general oversight. So the House, and therefore all of Congress, is essentially in something of a limbo. Right now, we've had a couple of candidates throw their hats in the ring in terms of potentially becoming successors. One is Steve Scalise, who's from Louisiana, who's the number 2 in charge in the House Republican Conference. The problem with Steve Scalise, though, is that he's undergoing treatment for blood cancer currently, and it's unclear whether he would have the stamina to potentially take that top leadership position. Another person who threw his hat in the ring today was Jim Jordan, who chairs the House Judiciary Committee. Jim Jordan has a strong reputation among the House Conference because he is able to work with someone like Kevin McCarthy, who's more establishmentarian, but he's also known as being very conservative. And so he does have credential with some of the more conservative members of the House. But frankly, it seems like it's an impossible position because you have these very radical members who seem to want to be able to control the Speaker's every move. And so even if the House Republicans are able to coalesce around next leader, that person's going to be on thin ice from the very beginning. And it makes it uncertain how, if at all, they're going to be able to govern.
You know, we probably have about 30 seconds left or so, but I do want to get to this. Another name that's being floated out there for Speaker of the House is former President Donald Trump. What do you make of that? And for those maybe not familiar with the process, tell us how that would work.
Well, frankly, it's not specified in the Constitution that the Speaker has to be a member of the House of Representatives. So theoretically, they could elect anybody. I think it's natural that Donald Trump's name would be mentioned as the foremost Republican, but with all the legal troubles he's going through and his presidential race, I don't think he'd be very willing to serve.
We're going to leave it right there. Thank you so much for your insights. We appreciate it.
Thanks very much.